This is a video to go with my piece of art called Whittingham Lives project, about the very large, one of the largest in Europe, mental hospitals that was here, close to Preston. Now the art that I've created is in the form of a triptych. It's got smaller pictures below which are called predella. It was a very popular format and form of art in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. So you would have the saint and then the things that they did below. My art isn't in that style, but it's in that format. So I'll talk to you about the three different main panels. So the first panel of the piece is the birth of mental hospital Whittingham and the things that led up to that, and the creation of these type of institutions. And Whittingham actually opened in 1873, and what was built and created was a whole village, a whole community and a whole environment for people with mental health problems, where they lived and worked, because many of the patients, they would have been called at the time, or inmates, now we're service users, they participated in the whole ethos of being in that village, if you like, where they had access, they played sports, they had their own sports teams, they had a theatre, there would have been laundry services, obviously it's a hospital, people would have worked in that. It was before cars, so there was stables, and obviously people helped out there. And the gardens, they had a market garden, they grew their own veggies, they had a farm where they, again, and this whole community of people all were there together. That sounds kind of really great to me here in the 21st century, of like, how brilliant might that have been? And I'm sure it wasn't perfect. Of course it wasn't perfect, because nothing in life is perfect. Whittingham started out that way, continued to develop, people taking care of everybody. That's what there is to say about the creation of these things called institutions, which really, for me, they get quite a bad rap, which is where the second panel comes in. And the beginning of the end started with an article written in the News of the World. Now, the News of the World is a newspaper. It's no longer in existence, but people will perhaps know that it was regarded as very sensationalist, almost a comic. But the News of the World published a report that they had from a nurse, a male nurse, a hospital in Wales called Ely Hospital. And this was in the 1960s. And what this nurse was saying was there was terrible things going on at this mental hospital, where people were being abused, badly treated. To read the report, which you can do, it's a matter of public record. It's in parliamentary papers and the archives. The report that came from this initial newspaper article, and the report that followed it. The things that happened were just horrendous. People were physically, mentally abused. They had their food stolen, their money stolen. It's so horrific to believe that people might have been being treated like that in this day and age, in the 1960s. But that was what sort of prompted the beginning of the end for large institutions. It was quite a big moment. I mean, it took 30 years for big hospitals to eventually be closed, but nothing ever happens fast when you've got a big organisation like the NHS, and I'm talking about a time when the NHS existed, the 1960s. The NHS had been going 20 years. And similar to how hospitals are set up now, they don't sit in isolation. They're usually part of a group of hospitals, very much the same as it is now. Another hospital in the same group as this one that was really bad was rated excellent, and they did some amazing work with mental patients. And yet another part of the group was abusing their patients. So within a group of hospitals, there's one really brilliant and one really, really awful. And you wonder how that can be. And you might ask why. Well, maybe there wasn't, inspections or things like that going on, or maybe it was, because it was a different world. No, there was inspections. There was people who were tasked to go and check that things were running right, but nothing had happened. And this nurse that eventually had to resort to going to the newspapers. They complained to their supervisors, and they'd been treated horrendously by colleagues, by the management. I mean, it was just completely mismanaged, and that is what started the end for big institutions. If that was what was going on in every institution, that's probably a good thing to do. It's just, unfortunately, I don't think that was actually true. There are currently 1.5 million NHS staff, and it is just mathematics. Statistically, some of the people that work in it are going to be lazy or incompetent or thieves, paedophiles, murderers. How can it be that an organisation can have people within it that they've been getting away with things like this for years? There's another report just come out. A psychiatric doctor in Derbyshire in the 50s, 60s and 70s abusing mental children. How did he do that for years, working in the NHS? There's another investigation into a woman doctor who's been bumping off geriatric patients. Again, how? Once or twice. It shouldn't take long for other good people who work within the NHS to sort of say, hang on, I think this person's actions are maybe not quite right, but it seems it wasn't looked at in the past, and I'm horrified to imagine, but I'm sure it's happening now because it keeps coming out. The people who did these things for years. So why? It's statistically true. People will still be experiencing difficulties. Closing the institutions doesn't make any difference to any of this. I can tell you from my own experience of mental health services, of NHS staff, people there to help, that some of them don't care, and they are not helpful. I don't understand how that can be, but it's true, and I'm not alone. And although I am mental, which is why I'm allowed to say the NHS might not all be good, because I can be ignored, other people with similar problems to me, they tell me the same. They say the same things go on for them. But again, it's back like the nurse in the 60s. Nobody's listening. Nobody's hearing us. Nobody's taking that on board. That's my beef with the NHS, and yeah, that's a society thing. Something's got to be done to sort that. The third panel is my beef with academics. There's a lot more promotion of mental health problems and reducing the stigma, and it's all really great and really good and very positive, and I have no problem with saying I'm mental, because it's true. But academics are on a whole weird planet of their own. They seem to be educated to such a level that they fail to even understand basic human facts. You hear, how great things are for people's mental health, like a good diet. Whittingham was doing that. Getting out into the open, doing, a bit of physical exercise. Well, the people at Whittingham were doing that because, they were looking after the gardens and working on the farm and the horses and whatever. They were doing all the engaging in sports, social activities together, theatre, so singing as a group, getting together. Again, back to Whittingham. It's a whole community of people doing amazing things, and academia are just starting to get the data together because they've got some government funding to do some research to prove that, you know what, human beings like to feel respected and included and have a purpose in life. They they need to feel that they're understood within the community of people that they're with. How intelligent do you have to be not to know that that's true of human beings? Seriously, academia, come on, pull your socks up. Because another great thing about Whittingham is it had a ward specifically for people who were deaf. And today's treatments are talking therapies. That's just one of the things. And Whittingham and one other hospital, somewhere down South London way, wherever, that was it. That's the only two places where, if you were deaf and had a mental problem, where you could go and get proper help from people who could speak your own language, could sign language. I don't know what happens now in the NHS. I mean, there aren't places like Whittingham anymore, so there isn't that whole community thing going on. They got rid of that. There's plenty of treatments for mental disorders, medication. Yes, I'm on meds, and yeah, they still put electric things and fry your brain. Yes, they do still do that. And talking. I can't get any talking therapies because, I'm not psychotic and not suicidal. So, and most people who have depression aren't suicidal. That's a misconception. Academia isn't making enough inroads into promoting what these things really are. Just that, well, it'd be really good if you did a bit of gardening. Human beings need to do that. That's stop it. Just do something productive, please. So in the format of my painting that I've done, there's the panels at the bottom, and that they reflect my experience of depression, which is just normal depression, what the public will see as the being sad. It's not that, but that's how it's perceived. In the past it was called clinically depressed, and now they call it major depressive disorder. And well, hopefully I kind of look reasonably normal, because that's not what depression is. Being sad, it's like a whole nother level of not being able to cope with life. And very often I get accused of being lazy, which is academia needs to look into that, because I am not lazy. I wake up in the morning and I can't wash, dress, brush my hair, leave the house, because doing that some days is like running a 5k run. And Another day it's a 10K. Some days it might be a marathon to do that. That's basic. Real basic. A couple of days. Like an emoji. Oh, I'm so depressed. No. I've had this for 4 years. And believe me, I do not want it to be that. I'm like in a hole that I can't get out of. And the whole world is like really weird. And it doesn't make any sense because there's academics telling me, hey, what you need to do? Have a good diet, find people that understand you, get out and about, socialise, maybe do a bit of art. We just found out that that's really good for people with mental problems. No, that's what human beings like. So the question is, when did I stop being a human being? Was it, I mean, I've always had depression, so have I never been a human being? Or, because I managed to live with my depression and have a normal life, good job, career, car, house, all the normal things that normal people do. I still had periods where I was depressed, but, I functioned, so it wasn't really a problem. But when I stopped being able to function, maybe that's when I stopped being a human being. I don't know. Or do you only stop being human when a doctor has diagnosed you as actually having depression? Because people seem to think that I'm not human. That's the message I'm getting. That's the evidence that all my talking therapies is helping me to see. What evidence is there that you're not normal? Well, if I go to a company and I try to sort out a problem, this is another thing, you see. I don't know why I might have lost any IQ points through having depression. Because I get talked to, I declare, I'm sorry, I'm here, I'm struggling, I might be, hyperventilating, I might be crying, I might be shaking. That can't look really great, I understand that. But I'll try and deal with the difficult situation that I'm stressful about with the company. I want a list of all my transactions or whatever's going on, and they talk to me like I'm a 10-year-old. No, I've got depression, but I ain't stupid. I'm not less than human. So that's kind of what my art is to try and demonstrate. And I felt it needed a video to explain it because maybe not very good at art. It's part of my whole problem thing going on. And to hopefully help, because a video can be circulated more and promoted, my thoughts about mental health and about institutions, which has been some great work done by celebrities now, Stephen Fry and Ruby Waxford. They've got the super cool trendy bipolar, which is manic depression, not just boring sad depression like me. Monty Don, he's got boring sad depression like me, and he loves gardening and he's open and he keeps telling people it is good for you, but that's just a human being thing. That's just what human beings do. So there is good research that happens. The Netherlands have built a village for dementia patients. I think there's a couple of hundred dementia patients, and they all live together in this village, and they've got staff, medically trained staff and auxiliary staff, and they've got a little shop and a little theatre, and the dementia people are free to come and go as they please, and are given a whole, it's a whole village where they can live and hopefully live a, as good and happy a life as possible with their particular mental problem. And what really struck me was, do you know what? That's what Whittingham was. And I'd really like if there was somewhere like that now. Because I could do with a couple of weeks off now and again and go somewhere where just everybody really understood me. I mean, I'm lucky. I've got mental mates. I found them. They're not NHS people. I found some mental mates, and they're doing this video for me. And we all get together, and we can talk about stuff, not health necessarily, but we all understand. Because everybody needs to know that they've got their tribe. This is a charity that runs the place where we go and do art. The NHS could be doing that, but it doesn't, because the academics haven't come round to it. And I wonder, I don't know, is that why I don't feel right in this world?